This is a DSBN tutorial for using Google Keep specifically for documentation and student portfolios. We're first going to set this up on a desktop just simply because we have a keyboard and it's easier to type in our students' names as the categories. So once you go into Google Chrome, make sure you're signed in. You could see your avatar, but it has to be syncing. So make sure it does say syncing to it. From here, we're simply going to go into Google Keep by going to keep.google.com. And the reason why we're signed in is because it's going to sync to all your devices. So here you can already see that I have some in here, but we're going to focus on setup first. So down here, these are called labels. And with these labels, think of them as tags as well. So when I go in, I want to add tags for all of my students, but then I'm also going to add for social studies, science, literacy, and all my other subjects. So I go into edit labels, and I would simply put in the new person that I'm going to do and hit done. And it instantly goes in. Once you get all your labels in, now you're ready to switch over to your mobile device to start documentation. So once you go on your mobile device, you're going to go to Google Keep, and then you're going to make sure once again that you're signed in. If not, you're going to add another account and type in your credentials to get there. You're going to notice all your notes will be here. So let's go take a note. I click take a note. I usually title it first, just so I know what it is. Once you do that, then it's always going to go in and be organized for you. So things I can add. When I click the plus sign, these are all the options I'll be able to put in there. So I'm going to take a photo first. So align my photo, there it is, and take it. And I can retake it or use that photo, and it instantly goes in. Now, right away on the photo, there's a couple things I can do. If I click on the photo, you're going to notice a little marker in the top right-hand corner. This allows me to do annotations directly onto what I want. If I click on the marker, I can change the weight of it and change the color. So if I want to circle things, point things out, I can definitely do that for my documentation and annotation. When I'm done, I hit the back, and you can see that note's already taken with the annotations. Other things I can add to here. I can go in, I can choose another image if I want to upload something. I can also add a drawing. But another nice feature is the recording as well. Before I do the recording though, let's take a quick note about what's going on here. Rather than typing, because I'm on a mobile device, I'm going to use a microphone. This is my project to introduce coding into sensory. Nice and easy. If I want to do the option of record, this will actually record audio, but try and translate it into text as well. I really enjoy Tim Hortons. So when I go in, I really enjoy Tim Hortons. You can see that it wrote it and it also has that annotation. Now, the most important step that I do is I go to the three little dots on the bottom, and this is where I add my labels. So my labels are super important because this tells me who the portfolio is going to. So if this was Rob's, I go in, click on Rob, and you can see a check mark. But then because I have the actual categories as other things as well, I know that it's a STEAM thing that we're working on with coding. I'm going to click on that. When I go back, you can see the two labels pop in the bottom. And I'm also going to choose that color that I did because this will allow me to kind of see quickly what it is I'm looking for on my Google Keep. Now I have the option of continuing on here, or I could go to my desktop later to add more things, which I'm going to show you next. See, I'm just going to show you while I have both devices up here. Once I add something on my iPad or mobile device, it's going to pop up almost instantaneously on the computer screen. So I'm just going to choose a video and a picture. There we go. And you can see on my computer, it's already trying to denote what it is. When I add that, I can change labels, all those things. It's going to change automatically so you can find everything you want instantly. Now that I've taken the documentation, I have the option of doing this on my phone or going back to the desktop to add more things, annotate, things like that. So here I am back on my desktop, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Rob's portfolio. So right now, these are all my notes right here. So we're going to go to Rob's portfolio by simply clicking on Rob, and you can see there's everything there. There's also a search up here if you want to put it up there, and it'll find everything in that category as well. The search will also let you check lists, images. You can go by labels here, people who own it, and your colors as well. So remember, the colors I use to denote what subject it's going to be. So if I click on the purple, that should be all my STEAM stuff in there. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and I'm simply going to go back to Rob because I want to show you what else you can do with this portfolio. So let's click on this literacy portfolio that I did. So down here, I can change everything. So I can talk about what was going on here. We can talk about the stop motion project. I can add pretty much whatever I want. If I go to the more, here's where I can even go further. I can show tick boxes. This is really important if you're creating something and you want to make a list for people to check off. So you could say, do you have the screen here? Do you have your stop motion app? Do you have your characters? So you could use this as a checklist for yourself or even as the students if you go in and use that. Now, if you didn't do it earlier, this is also where you can add annotations to your picture. So you can do this on the desktop or the mobile device. Another thing you can do on your Google Keep is you can actually do documentation with a rubric. So what I've done is I've made a rubric and I took a picture of it and put it in under rubrics checklist. If I click on that, because it's in as an image, when I click on it again, with that little tool up at the top right, the marker, I can use this to actually annotate. So it's going to zoom up, and I know it doesn't look really great, but when I go in, I'm going to choose the pen, and we'll grab the marker here, and I can go in and choose all the things that I want to circle. So obviously the student did an amazing job. So there's my rubric, and now when I hit the back button, you can see that this rubric is completely done, and all I had to do was just bring it up on my Google Keep, which most likely would have been on my phone because I can annotate on the phone as well. So lastly, we're going to notice that we have all our notes here. We can also go in and we can add a collaborator to this. It works just like it would normally, except this one would be connected to your directory. You put it in who you want to share it with, you hit save, and now you're going to notice there's a collaboration person at the bottom here. So just like a Google Doc or slideshow, you'll see who else is on there. And now I could add from a different account if I was connected to that. One other really neat feature in here is, let's say I want to make a collection of all this as a finale. What I can do is if I go to my drive, if I go create a new Google Doc or a slideshow, you're going to notice that along the right-hand side, you have this new task pane. It's been there for a couple months, but you're going to definitely notice the new symbol called Google Keep. If I went in here, I could click on the Google Keep, and that's going to access every single note that I've ever put into my Google Keep. The nice thing is, if this was Rob's collection page, I can go in and I can still search Rob, and these are all the ones that he had before. And all I have to do is simply drag and drop, and it brings out the pictures, the writing, the lists, and you can put in as many as you want. So even if I went to the checklists, I could even drag out the rubric that I recorded about their project, and then they would also have a copy of that rubric.